Qu'est-ce que fuck is going on, guys? It's your favorite French Canadian YouTuber, Big Arc, back at it with another WoW video. I'm actually just playing about being French Canadian, though I just took French immersion. Hope you like the intro, though. As you can see today, or maybe not, I'm back on my Hunter, so he is an alt character. Play occasionally. I just love his transmog. All the shit that I've done with him in the past really makes it look cool, especially all the Argus shoulders and stuff like that. Today I will be bringing you a marksmanship hunter guide, basically just kind of your talents you want to pick for different scenarios, your basic rotation, what kind of gear you're trying to look for, your legendary, basically what stats to look for with your gear, and then covenants. So basically a DPS hunter guide just to help you. If you're lost playing hunter, this will definitely come in handy. Before we get into it, though, I do want to say thank you to everyone who has subscribed lately. We are currently at 233 subscribers. And if you don't know already, in my last couple videos, I've mentioned it. We are doing a WoW token giveaway at 250, 500, and 1,000 subs. So we are so close to doing that first draw. We are about 17 subscribers away. All you have to do to be entered in the draw at 250, 500, or 1,000 subs is just subscribe to the channel and like the video that you watch. So it's pretty simple. Also, if you enjoy the video, feel free to like, comment. I'll answer all questions, all regards in the comments. So feel free to have a conversation with me. It's all good. And even if you like this transmog, just toss a like on the video. You know, always love transmog, always love looking at other people's. So if you enjoy it, why not like it? So to begin here, this is my hunter. As you can see, there's probably something you notice, and that's that I don't have a pet. You probably think of a hunter having a pet as that's kind of the class that you see having the most pets to choose from. Even when you make a character at the beginning screen, there's always a pet that you start off with. Marksmanship is probably the only class that I know of. I haven't played too much survival, just beast mastery, so kind of two polar opposites. But marksmanship is kind of the class that doesn't really need a pet. There's a lot of stats that help it where if you don't have a pet, your damage is actually it's boosted, sorry. So hunters have always done well over the past expansions on damage charts, whether it be like raiding, mythic plus, or just normal dungeons and PvP. They're just super versatile. Whichever spec they choose, if they have a pet or not, they've always been on the top of the charts. So no matter what spec you play, it's always good to get into a hunter. They are really fun to play. One big thing that I've noticed with WoW today is that mobility is also a huge factor. Your class has to be able to move, get out of stuns quickly, and just kind of, you know, have control over the fight and where it's going. And I think that hunters are one of the very best classes to be able to do that. There's a couple abilities that we'll get into later that I'll show you. My UI isn't super set up yet, so when I do show it off of this screen, please don't roast me in the comments. I'm just transferring all of my data to a new computer, but I want to get some content out on the channel, so that's kind of why it looks like that. First thing I want to do is just bring up the stats that you want to look for in your gear for a marksmanship hunter, and also just the mastery. So the stats that you want to look for in order after agility are critical strike, mastery, versatility, haste, only if needed. Haste isn't a huge one, that's kind of why it's ranked last. But basically the full order, agility, which you get on every piece, critical strike, then mastery, then versatility, and haste if needed. The reason why mastery is so high is because mastery is basically a huge damage increase to all of your spells. It increases the distance, which helps you make up for a lack of a pet. So we will get into it here. I will show you right away. The mastery is sniper training. So the tooltip reads, range of all your range abilities is increased by 12.7%, and damage of all abilities increased by 28.5%. Pardon me. So as you can see, with the more mastery you have, the more it scales. And as you can also see, my UI is trash, so please do not roast it. Just kind of have the main abilities I will be going through on here. But anyways, looking above this, you probably can't see the name because the tooltip is in the way. You have Lone Wolf. So it is also a passive ability. The tooltip reads, increases your damage by 10% when you do not have an active pet. So marksmanship is all about not having a pet. Basically, with these two combined, with my mastery currently, it is a 38.5% damage increase, which, you know, can come in super handy no matter what kind of stuff I'm doing, what kind of fights I'm doing. One thing that will help me maximize my DPS, though, is the talents that I'm going to get into. So, we're going to get into it here. There's going to be a couple that you're always going to want to pick for sure, so I won't even mention the other talents, but there is a few that you can sub out depending on the situation. So the main look you're gonna want to go for is this. Depending if you do PvP or not, you can sub these out. Currently I've been doing a bit more PvP, so camouflage is big for me. On the 15th level bracket, you have Master Marksman, where it reads, your ranged special attack critical strikes cause the target to bleed for an additional 15% of the damage dealt over 6 seconds, which is really good because everyone wants to get their dots up, and no matter who you're attacking, it's always good to have extra damage. So you're definitely going to want to hit Master Marksman for your 15th level bracket. Moving on, we're going to go to the 25 level bracket. It is Careful Aim. Passive, where aim shot deals 50% bonus damage to targets who are above 70% health, especially when you're first starting a boss fight and you're bursting. This is always a great talent to pick. It's just great at getting high damage right off the beginning of the fight. So these 4 that I'm kind of highlighting about, Serpent Sting, Murder, Crows, Explosive Shot, and Barrage, they're just extra buttons. And currently as a marksmanship hunter, you don't need extra buttons. Your rotation is pretty simple. It is just kind of managing your aim shot usages and just maximizing the damage that you get from aim shot. So any extra buttons that you need aren't super crazy good for your rotation. So it's always good to pick these 2 no matter what kind of situation you're in. For the 30 level bracket, this is kind of your movement and survivability bracket. So Trailblazer, your movement speed 30% increase whenever you aren't attacked for 3 seconds. My thought on this is kind of like, why would you pick this when you have a mount? If you're not being attacked, why would you not mount up? So immediately this is just a write-off for me, but also it depends on what kind of situation you're in. If you're running a Mythic Plus and you never get attacked and you just want that extra movement speed, why not? Fuck it, go for Trailblazer. The Natural Mending and Camouflage. Camouflage is pretty self-explanatory. Basically a 1-minute camo, and you get 2% of your maximum health healed every 1 second while you are in camo. So just pretty much good for PvP. Hunters, they always start off in camo just so they can burst on you. The other one you can sub it out for is Natural Mending. You're probably going to want to pick this if you're doing PvE. So any 20 focus you spend reduces the remaining cooldown on your heal by 1 second. Exhilaration is your heal. We'll get into all the spells and stuff after that, but this is just the talents, as well as we'll get into a rotation. So don't worry about any questions you have right now. If they're still unanswered, leave them in the comments, but hopefully they get answered throughout this video. 35 level bracket, you're never going to want to pick Chimera Shot. Extra button, you don't want that, so don't even fuck with it. It's fine. You're going to be picking between these 2, Steady Focus and Streamline. So I currently have Streamline equipped because when you're doing BGs, Mythic Plus, or you have any AoE damage that you need to do, Streamline is a whole lot better. So the tooltip reads, Rapid Fire's damage is increased by 15%, and Rapid Fire also causes your next aim shot to cast 30% faster. So definitely good, considering I said before that the whole Marksmanship Hunter rotation is just kind of revolving around your usage of aim shot. So this just kind of helps it. For your AoE and multiple target fights. However, if you are in single target, you're going to want to try to go for Steady Focus. Also, another passive ability where using your Steady Shot twice in a row increases haste by 7% for 15 seconds, which is great for all your casting abilities, such as Aimed Shot. So depending on what kind of fight you're going to be in, you're going to want to interchange Steady Focus and Streamline. Basically, for your 40 level bracket, you're always going to want to pick Post Haste. This just kind of helps with your mobility. So whenever you disengage, you get a 50% movement speed increase for 4 seconds. Awesome for PvP, awesome for any PvE stuns or even just moving. I know, like, if you're questing and you're kind of hunting down a whole bunch of mobs, it's good to just go mob to mob by disengaging, and you have a little bit of speed boost behind it. So there's other ones here. You have Binding Shackles, so this is good for PvP. So anyone rooted by your Binding Shot, which is a stun, deals 20% less damage to you, and for 8 seconds after the root expires. And then you have Born to be Wild, which is just kind of your aspects cooldown. They're basically just 20% less than what they would be without this talent. Aspect of the Cheetah is basically your movement speed, and Aspect of the Turtle is kind of your shield. So depending on what you're doing, I wouldn't even really select this. I would just always go for Post Haste. It just kind of helps you with that situational survivability. For your 45 bracket, I picked Double Tap, so your next aim shot will fire a second time instantly at 100% power without consuming your focus, or your next rapid fire will shoot 100% additional shots during his channel. You're definitely going to want to go for this. Lethal shots is a close second, but we're going to get into why in another second. This is pretty much what you're going to want to pick all the time. You can sub it out here. It's just always kind of second place in burst fights to double tap. For the 50 level bracket, you're going to want to switch between lock and load or volley, depending on what kind of content you're doing. So volley is super powerful for AoE scenarios, even with single target. It's still interchangeable with lock and load, but however, for single target, lock and load is just, you know, the bread and butter of what you want to pick for this talent bracket. Don't even want to look at calling the shots, just pretend that isn't there. These are kind of what you want to switch between, so single target, lock and load, and AoE for volley. So I'll just put that back on there. And then, yeah, besides that, there's a couple, just a little recap. So for Mythic Plus, you may want to sub out your 35 talent for Streamline. This is because Mythic Plus packs, the buff you get from Steady Focus, it's harder to keep up. So Streamline is just so much better for AoE mobs. Yeah, then again, for your 30 level bracket, this is just your Camouflage or your heal. So it's very good for Mythic Plus, depending on what you want to do, if you want to avoid some mobs. Or if you just have to heal yourself a lot more in some certain fights. So whatever it is you're choosing, both are good depending on the scenario. So again, a little recap: lethal shots, basically second place at double tap. You can still pick it though, it's fine. And then volley, AoE fights, and lock and load for single target fights. Next thing I want to get into is the gear. So every piece of gear you get is going to have some degree of agility, which is always the case no matter what. Every single piece of gear you have is going to have agility. Like I said before, following that, you're going to want to follow the order of critical strike, mastery, versatility, and then haste if you're needed. Depending on what add-ons you use, whether it's Pawn or Ask Mr. Robot, it may ask you to add a little bit of haste into your builds. But you can look on many different websites to compare your gear, or use an add-on like those mentioned above to compare your pieces. So basically, for legendaries, as far as they go, you're going to want to pick Serpent Stalker's Band of Trickery. Basically, Serpent Stalker's Trickery will simply add Serpent Sting to all of your aim shots. Serpent Sting, as you saw in the talents before, I didn't actually go over it. These are the ones you want to avoid, especially if you have this legendary. Serpent Sting, so you fire a shot that poisons your target, causing them to take 320 nature damage instantly, and additional 2000 nature damage over 18 seconds. So it's a bleed, which is awesome. So basically that makes it so any aim shot you do basically puts a bleed on the target, which is extra damage, which will super help your DPS on the charts. And you don't even have to pick an extra button. It's just a part of your rotation now when you have this legendary. It is a significant passive damage increase that works well in all situations, and honestly it is by far the best single target legendary at the moment. It's best for single target and rating. I haven't looked too much into the AoE aspect, but everywhere I looked at just said to go for this one. Furthermore, what you're going to want to get into for covenants here, it's actually a super hard choice to pick your covenants, just because you don't know which kind of fight you're going to be in, and you don't know which one is going to be best. So two covenants to choose from are the Night Fae, which is better for AoE, and Kyrian, which is better for single target. So the Night Fae is better for two targets, generally better for AoE. So that means it's more forgiving on the DPS charts. If you fuck up your rotation and you like miss an ability, it's okay because you're better for the AoE, just with the ability that you get. It also just has a higher burst DPS than Kyrian. However, Kyrian, it gives you an extra endurance conduit, which always helps. It has a better single target DPS, and it bursts more often than the Night Fae. The only thing is that the bursts aren't as powerful as the original Night Fae burst. So it's kind of pick your poison depending on what kind of fight you think you're going to be doing. You would pick Night Fae for AoE and Kyrian for single target. We're going to get into the basic rotation here. So you're going to want to activate True Shot on cooldown. True Shot reduces the cooldown of your aim shot and rapid fire by 60% and causes aim shot to cast 50% faster for 15 seconds. And while True Shot is active, you generate 15 additional focus. This is amazing. You can get your aim shots off so much quicker. And And basically, if you haven't seen already, this is what this whole spec revolves around, is the uses of its aim shot. So all the talents are basically either to increase the damage of aim shot, reduce the cast time of aim shot, or add additional charges of aim shot every time you cast it, as well as stacked with the legendary to add a bleed every time you've earned or every time you've casted an aim shot. This is just going to help it so much more. You're also going to want to use rapid fire on cooldown, so this is great. Each shot generates 1 focus. You can use it while moving, which is kind of like a little nod to Beast Mastery, because they can do their whole rotation while moving, while Marksmanship has to stand still. So you shoot a stream of 7 shots at your target over just under 2 seconds, and it deals damage. You're also going to want to use aim shot on cooldown, as you probably guessed. If arcane shot is glowing, though, I would say do not use aim shot yet. You can get the arcane damage, or the arcane shot damage, way more. Basically, whenever you use arcane shot, it's to spend precise shots, and you can tell when you have precise shot stacks whenever the arcane shot icon is glowing, as you can see here. And then basically, you just kind of want to limit it to not hit 100 focus. You always try to stay below 60 focus. Then you can use your aim shot, keep the charges up with that. If you do somehow have nothing else to do, just load it up with steady shot. So again, I'm just going to reiterate that. Aim shot on cooldown, but you're going to want to use arcane shot to keep yourself from hitting 100 focus. So use that if you're going to cap on your focus, or if the icon is glowing, because there'll be a damage increase there. And steady shot when you have nothing else to do. It is really that simple. And then when you get a lock and load proc, simply use aim shot as you normally would, and remember to cast all those arcane shots after it. So honestly, super simple. I'm not going to get into a rotation today, unfortunately, just because my keybinds are all fucked up transferring shit to a new computer, so I don't really want to get into that. But honestly, you can just look up any Marksmanship Hunter raid, dungeon runs, or even PvP, and you'll be able to see how they maximize their DPS using that simple rotation. We're going to do a little recap at the end here. Before we get into it, though, just another reminder about the giveaway. 250, 500, and 1,000 subscribers, we're giving a WoW token giveaway. I don't know if I mentioned it the first time. So basically, I am working up to the point where hopefully one day I will be able to gift a giveaway winner a whole year of WoW subscription. That'll be once we hit maybe like 5,000 subscribers, just because I have a gold farm that I know will always bring in gold for me. If you haven't seen it, I do have it on my channel. I basically make 90,000 gold per hour using skinning, but we can get into that at a later date. So basically, just a quick recap. Marksmanship Hunter, always great on the DPS charts. Really good for multiple scenarios, whether it's AoE targeting or single target DPS. Never use a pet, because you get almost a 40%, currently at my spec, you get a 40% damage increase whenever you don't have a spec. So that's just awesome. Talents, we've already gone over those. You can go back in the video and watch that. But as far as your gear, you're always going to have agility, but then following that, you're going to want to follow critical strike, mastery, versatility, and then haste. If you need help picking out your gear, you can use Ask Mr. Robot or Pawn, and it'll always tell you which one is best. Legendary, you're going to want to use Serpent Stalker's Trickery. As you can see here, I had on my ring. Basically, applies the dot to the target, and you use your aim shot a whole lot more than you would without it, just so you get that extra bleed damage. Really good for raiding, single target, but I don't know so much about AoE targets. I feel like there could be another legendary better for that, just because that's always the case. Blizzard just puts in one alternative to the other, depending on what kind of fight there is. Your basic rotation, always keep up True Shot. So basically, go over it again. So reduces the cooldown of aim shot, use rapid fire on cooldown, use aim shot on cooldown, except for when arcane shot is glowing or you're about to cap on focus. Your ideal focus is about 60 focus, and then if you don't have anything else to do, just use steady shot. When you get a lock and load proc, just use aim shot as you normally would, but just remember to cast all your arcane shots after it. So that is, oh, sorry, let me just do a quick recap of the covenants. Night Fae, better for AoE, meaning that it's more forgiving on the DPS charts. So that means like if you fuck up your rotation, you're going to be all good because you're doing more AoE damage. And has higher burst DPS than Kyrian at the beginning of the fights. Kyrian, however, gives you an extra endurance conduit, which always helps. You can always spec that at whatever covenant you choose, or sorry, at the Kyrian covenant. And then it has better single target DPS and bursts more often than the Night Fae, but the burst from the Kyrian that you get is way less than the Night Fae burst. So, they all have better, pros and cons than the other based on what kind of fight you're doing. That's a quick recap. That's my Marksmanship Hunter Guide. If you're new, hopefully this helps you kind of get a little bit more familiar with the Marksmanship Hunter spec. Honestly, I have so much fun on it. As you can see, I have a 183 item level right now, so pretty much maxed out in Mythics. He's pretty much ready to raid whenever the new tier comes out. So yeah, looking forward to all that. Besides that, if you really enjoyed the video, please like, comment, subscribe. Talk to me in the comments. I'll answer them right away. And then a quick reminder that if you want to make 90,000 gold, have a video on that. Have a guide on my Shadow Priest, Discipline Priest, and we are doing a WoW token giveaway, 250, 500, and 1,000 subs. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you all have a great rest of your night. It's been your boy Big Arc. Peace.